Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you all made it. So, if you can hear me clearly, I would like you to give me a wave. Okay. If you can hear me clearly, I would like you to give me a wave, show me your biggest smile, or drop your favorite emoji in the chat box. I'm so excited about today. I don't know. Maybe because it's the last class and the journey has been so awesome. It's been eye-opening. It's been amazing for me. And I'm happy to have everyone here. So now I want us to bring our energy to the room. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I would like you to tell me how excited are you today? Put your number in the chat box. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you to be? Woo, I can see 100. Abigail. Wow, that's amazing. So I'm waiting for others. Oh, I can see 8. Janet, hi. So I'm waiting for others. Baba Tunde, if you can hear me on a scale of 1 to 10, I would like you to let me know how excited are you to be in this class today. Today being our last class for the foundation course. Wow, we've learned a whole lot from the very first day till today. So I am happy. I mean, it's great having everyone here. Everyone, we all started together. Yes, everyone we started together till now, and everyone is still here. So if you are just joining us now, I am saying welcome to joining the final class of the foundation course. And I would like to know on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy, how excited are you to be in this class, today's class? So Abigail says she's 100%, 100 over 10 excited to be here today. So I'd like to know how excited are you to be in today's class for everyone? Okay. For me, I would say, in fact, mine is, I think I'm more excited than Abigail. I would say 200 over 10 for me. It's been wholesome for me from the very first day. And now the last class for the foundation course. I mean, it's been God all the way. So, I can actually tell we are going to have a very fantastic class today. And of course, I want everybody to be excited. I want you to have open mind, be ready. There's going to be a whole lot of valuable insights today. And I am happy. And our facilitator for today, I'm very, very, very sure she has something exciting in store for us. And I can't wait to actually hear that. But before then, I would like you to drop your favorite topic from day one to day 5 in the chat box. Your favorite topic. What stood out for you from all the topics we've discussed? Please, in the chat box, I would like to know which of the topics actually stood out for you. The one that has sticked that you know that everywhere you go, it will always be in your mind. You always take it with you everywhere, and you can't even wait to talk to people about it. You can't wait to share it with other people. So I would like to know, please, everyone, I want your 100% energy, your 100% attention and contribution today. So please, for you to even see my face, you should know that today is different. So I'd like to know what topic stood out for you from day 1 till the last class. I don't know if it's me. I'm not seeing comments. What's going on? Everyone, everybody, please, I need your attention. Okay, okay. Yes, yes, Janet. So I'd like to know Please tell me what topic stood out for you. What topic did you enjoy the most? What topic opened your eyes? What topic made you see life differently? I want to know. Please share your knowledge with us. Whoa, amazing, please. Abigail says she can't actually choose one because she enjoyed everything. So whichever one, if you actually enjoyed everything, I'd like you to drop 1 point each from each class you got, that thing you got from each class. I would like you to put it in the chat box. I like everyone to still learn while we also refresh our memory about it. Before we hand over to the facilitator, please. Let's be fast. Let's do that fast under 2 minutes before we proceed. Um, for me, that purpose discovery class was everything, followed by the leadership class, the first leadership class, which is leading yourself first before leading others. I mean, okay, I'm going to go to Janet before I continue mine. She said, I enjoyed all, but I go with leadership and purpose and knowing yourself, knowing your passion and career path. Exactly. Thank you, Janet, for sharing. I mean, it's very important to know yourself. I mean, if you don't know yourself, how do you want to lead others? It's not possible. Thank you, Janet, for sharing. Who else? Babatunde Joy. I'm going to be calling your names. And you have to answer me, please. Okay, before I proceed, Abigail says, I must learn to lead myself successfully. Yes, the word successfully before leading others. Thank you, Abigail. So, Joy Babatunde, Michael, Abdul Hamid. Yes, Esther also, please. I'll be expecting your comments before our facilitator takes over. I mean, leading yourself before leading others, that was like my first time hearing that. I never knew how to learn to lead myself first before leading others. And it made so much sense to me. And of course, if I'm not leading myself, what do I want to lead others into? And also, yeah, Abigail says purpose with vision is what sets destiny. Oh, Abigail. Powerful. Purpose with vision is what sets destiny in motion. Thank you, Abigail. That was beautiful. That's amazing. So, while we're waiting, please give me a minute while I'm waiting for others to actually give their insights. Okay. Okay. So while you're also dropping your insights in the chat box, I'm going to hand over to Mrs. Ivory to take over from here. Ma, over to you, ma.
Thank you so much, Coride. Good evening, everybody. Hi, Abigail, Joy, Michael, Janet, Esther, Abdulhamid, Bisola, Ola, what's that your full name again? Olashumbo, Elizabeth, James. I see all of you. Welcome to the last class of the Leadership Foundations program. So I was listening in, and please confirm you can hear me well. Can you all hear me well?
Yes, ma.
All right, thank you. Thank you. So how was your week? Let's even start with that. How was your week? And we're going to do a bit of a recap of the last class. I know that you guys had an amazing time. Last class was the longest class we've ever had on this program, but it was the longest for a reason. I mean, that topic was so insightful, and I think it was very needful, as has been every other topic that we have handled on this program. So, how was your week? Let me start from there. How was your week? Did you hit all of your goals for the week? What exciting thing happened this week? can unmute your mic and share with me, or you can put it in the chat if you're not able to talk, but you can just try and make it snappy so that we can get right into what we have for today. So, how's your week? I'll be reading the comments. Was it great? Was it good? Was it just there? Was it exciting? Was it challenging? What happened? I'd like to know. Anybody? Can you put that for me in the chat? Oh, so sorry about that, Elizabeth. Sorry about that. Do we have captions? Oh, okay, you have to turn on the captions at your end. Then the leadership class coupled with building integrity. Awesome. Okay, I guess this is feedback on the question that Corey asked. Thank you for that feedback, Abdul. Abigail, the exciting thing that is that I survived this week. I know, right? I mean, we survived. We survived the week. It must have been a tough one for you. I'm glad to hear that you came out conquerors and victor. And by the way, I was going to call you, I'll still call you, but well done. I see the movement you're making, and I'm super proud and impressed. Well done. We'll talk in camera, but you're doing amazing work. Well done. My week was a beautiful one. I got the chance to meet amazing people who are building amazing tech solutions in Nigeria. Absolutely. So, Korede is doing a course at the Lagos Business School, and she's been gaining some new knowledge. That's amazing. Happy for you, Korede. My week was good, better than I imagined. Thank God. Awesome. I'm grateful on your behalf for that. A lot of exciting, awesome. A lot of exciting things happened, and I'm grateful. My week was peaceful and tiring. Okay, what figure of speech is that? How is something peaceful and tiring at the same time? Are you a high activity person, Janet? Because if your week was peaceful and tiring, I would assume that you don't like you like problem always. Like that meme. How was it peaceful and tiring at the same time? You wanted some more activity. Is that the case? Anyway, mine was I'm still trying to get a good adjective to describe my week, but if I was to rate it on a 1 to 100 basis, I feel like maybe a 5 or a 6. And that's because I mean I had some goals that I haven't ticked off. I had like one in particular, I was hoping that I would get it sorted by today, like right before this class, but I'm still like 40% in. And for me, that's I find it a bit demotivating, but um yeah, the demotivation is from a place of, I mean, being melancholic and setting all of those high standards. But yeah, I guess if I had completed that particular goal, I would have been definitely at the 200 over 100. But yeah, we moved regardless. But every other thing was good. It was an interesting week, had some interesting conversations, made basically interesting conversations, some good news, some great news, and but it was mostly purposeful. Yeah, actually, it was two goals that I did not. I think that's why I'm feeling a bit down because I need, and they are very important goals. It's not like they're urgent and they're important. So, but yeah, I'm high because this is the last class of the Leadership Foundations program. It's been 6 weeks. I didn't know that 6 weeks would feel. Oh my goodness. It's been 6 weeks of learning. And you guys, I have to give it to every one of you who has showed up for classes consistently. You had a choice, I'm sure you had a lot of other things that you could have chosen to attend to during the classes, but you chose to show up. And that speaks to me about the value of the program, and I'm glad. And of course, your personal commitment to your growth and development, understanding that every day we learn something new, even if it's not exactly new knowledge to some of you, it's always like a reminder that reinforces what you already know and sort of puts you back on track. Peradventure, you weren't taking it as seriously as you should have. So well done, guys. This is the last class of the Leadership Foundation. I'm very privileged to be starting and ending this journey. It wasn't planned this way. It's actually a coincidence. But yeah, okay, Abdulhamid, work and lots of instructions, and that affected my personal goals. Books, I know, because I also have had this one. I had a book that I should have completed by now. Same thing. And but what we have to do is to just put better systems to protect all of the deep and effective work that we have to do next week, so we can hit all of those goals. So, Abdulhamid, maybe you'll be my accountability partner. All right, guys. Okay, so starting off, the topic we're going to be looking at today, we started the principles of leadership last week with self-leadership. Of course, you can't, that's the foundation of leadership, right? And we had some good conversation. Because of time, I'll just move straight, but I would have also loved to hear from us some of the things that stood out for us from that class. Well, I was in the class, so I was following the conversation. So today we are going to be moving to the second principle of leadership, which is leading others and creating impact, because leadership is not complete if you're just leading yourself. Leading yourself gives you the foundation to be able to effectively lead other people. Okay, so when we are talking about leadership, leadership expands beyond, your personal discipline and moves to where you're now influencing others and helping others grow. So I'll ask a question. I'll just ask. So you find yourself, you're a project lead in the middle of a project, or you guys are you're leading a team, and you guys have an event that you're putting together. And on the day of the event venue is somewhere out of town, not very close to where you're staying. So you guys have arranged a bus to carry your team to the place. And then you guys come and the journey starts and the bus breaks down. Now, thankfully, there's another team on ground who maybe because the proximity of the location to their location is closer, they went ahead straight, and then they happen to be at the venue and they call you and say the sound guy is not here. The people that are supposed to set up the screen or the stage or whatever are not here. So you're dealing with two problems. You have the bus that has broken down, and that's where you're at. And then you have the sound and projector issue happening at the venue. And you get another call that says one of the speakers just reached out and said they cannot come for some reasons. Da, 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 da. So, what are you going to do in that situation? I'd like to hear us. And if you can unmute your mic to share, please do if it will be easier for you. What are you going to do in that second as the team lead, as the leader of the team? You can unmute your mic. So I was telling Korede that one of the things we're going to enforce in the next track is that when you're in class, your video must be turned on. I used to think it was impossible. Amen. Bisola, it won't happen to you. Amen. It will not happen in Jesus' name. Amen. I was saying that we would enforce turning on your video because I'm actually going through a program and your video must be turned on in class. And I've realized that it didn't kill me at the end of the day. And that's one of the ways to check concentration. And in my class, if you for any reason have to turn off your video, you'd have to take permission. So it's that serious. And I thought it was impossible to do, but everybody is complying, you know. So what would you do? Bisola, it won't happen to you. Amen. But I want to hear us. If you were the team lead, what would you do in that situation where you have all of these problems? The vehicle to convey you and your team to the venue has broken down. You're hearing that there's a delay with the setup at the venue, and you just got feedback that one of the facilitators has sent in apologies for their absence. What are you going to do? Very quick answers. What are you going to do in that situation? Please, if you can unmute your mic and share, I'll be very glad to have this conversation with you. Otherwise, I really do hope we're typing our responses. We'll just take 2 minutes for this. What are you going to do? If you're just joining, welcome. We're doing a case study. So you're a leader and you have a major event which you guys have been planning for months. And on the day of the event, the bus that is supposed to convey you and your team members to the venue while you guys set off on the journey, it broke down. And while you're there trying to figure out what to do, you get a call from the team who are already at the venue saying that the setup team have not arrived. So the stage setup, the projector screens, and all of those were not yet set up. And while you're still trying to deal with that, you get a call from the person in charge of speaker management and all of that, saying that one of the speakers just sent in apologies, that they won't be attending the event. What are you going to do as a leader? What are you going to do? Anybody? Yeah, who's speaking?
Good evening.
Abdulhamid, do you want to speak? Okay, your audio is a bit low, so you may want to put your mouth in the mic. Please go ahead.
First is you have to calm down. Then at the outcome of preparing for the program, you must have plan B, put aside. Because you know,
Abdulhamid, sorry, if you can hear me, Abdulhamid, if you can hear me, I'm struggling to hear. I don't know if it's just me. I heard first you have to calm down, but I didn't hear the rest. So is there a way we can make your audio better? Maybe I don't know what's going on, but I really would love to hear you clearly. So please, let's try again. Maybe you can speak. Let's see if it's better.
okay, good evening, everyone.
It's a lot better. Yes.
So I said first you have to calm down, and know that these are bound to happen, especially the country we find ourselves. Sorry to say that. Then before the preparation is any program, you must prepare for plan B, and if possible, safe with plan C attached to it, because of this kind of issue that always happens. So you calm down, then look at what is your plan B put in this situation. Do you have others that can be able to start organizing there? Did you, in part of your plan B, the speaking system that had issue, did you talk to other colleagues that you normally call? Maybe like you have to have 2 or 3 that set up. So can you reach out to other, even to lend them and arrange that quickly? Then the third one of your speaker have even called out to you that he cannot be able to participate. Then in that case, you too must be familiar with, at least share the topics with 2 to 3 people, that if the facilitator is not around or any incident happens, someone can chip in and cover that space against the person that he cannot be able to do. So then we will rearrange it next time with him. So if this plan B and C are there, then the programs, it may get rekindled, but at the top end, you get a meaningful program delivered. And this incident also happens that one of our boss was narrating. He said he worked with Germany. By then, they're early coming with this text program. So the Germany went to Abuja to deliver about their product to the federal government, and he asked him that, oh, copy the slide and send to me, that I can be able to use the slides and present to them. This will draw their attention, they'll be able to get involved into our program. And this our director, he said mistakenly he just copied all shortcuts of those slides. On the icon, the shortcut is just copied there and sent to this German man. And the German man, when the message got to him, he tried to open the shortcut. Shortcut will not be able to display. And that is end. And he could not be able to communicate. He said, lucky enough, the German man has already have every detail that he can be able to deliver and support himself until he come back, you see, and was blamed that if not, I have plan B for this now. You see, we have failed in front of this, and this is the last opportunity we have. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Abdulhamid. Thank you for sharing. And when you started to speak, I was just nodding because there are some things I was looking out for in your answer. I have some responses in the chat, but before I get to the chat, I would like Abigail to speak since your hand is up. Awesome feedback from Abdulhamid, and well done on just getting that situation resolved. Abigail,
Good
over
evening.
to you. Good evening.
Sorry, am I audible?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you. So, like the previous speaker spoke about, I think you already, I think you have said it all. But let me say it again. Yes, like he said, I think the first thing to do is to try to relax, take a deep breath, because 3 back-to-back bad news can actually be very demoralizing, and there is every need to panic at that point. You would want to panic. That's usually the next thing a lot of us would do. Panic, start complaining, or blaming who we can blame, because all of these things should not be happening all at once. But being able to just take a deep breath and actually try and make things or look at things from a different perspective will actually be helpful. And then, of course, as a leader, you should be able to have trusted people who you can at least assign tasks to, because of course you said some of the team are already at the event, are already at the venue, so not all of us are stranded at the other end. So while those with me, we can of course try looking for alternative means of transportation, whether it's buses, whether it's taxis, whether it's boat, Uber, something that can take us out of that place, and then estimate how long it will take us to actually get all these things in order. So while some people are handling that, we can have people at the venue already trying to understand what exactly is wrong, what exactly is the delay. And then if there's any need, the team over there can actually start assisting with the setup while awaiting whatever the delay is, or while awaiting the venue management. Then as regards the speaker, like he said, there will be need to contact backup speakers. It's expected that for events that you would need a speaker, you should always have someone who, at the back of your mind, is going to be there as backup. There would have been 2 people that would have come to your mind for a particular topic. So the expectation is that, oh, okay, if one unfortunately disappoints, you should actually be able to contact a backup speaker. And then if not, you should actually I can consider adjusting the program. And another thing is, as a team lead, the expectation is that for you to bring out a topic and say, please, can you discuss about this? You should also have an idea of that topic you would want the person to speak on as a base idea. If worse comes to worse, you can actually step into that role if worse comes to worse. So I think for me, that's that. Either have a backup speaker, just have things in place for any unfortunate incidents that could occur. So that is where preparation will come into play. It's not in that moment that you need to start sorting all these things out. The expectation is that as a leader, you prepare ahead of time as well. What can happen, what can go wrong, as long as you always think, oh, these are the things that could go right. You should always also think about what could go wrong in this setting and what should I have as backup if so and so should go wrong. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abigail. Thank you. So, I mean, there are a lot of lessons already jumping out from what you guys are saying. And if you're somebody that is involved in project management organize, even if it's not a profession, like you're doing event planning. I think one lesson that I stood out from is always have a backup plan for every plan. For every plan you have for your event, you want to have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F to Z. As much as you can, as many backup plans as you can have, because there will be exigencies, you need to plan for them. There will be unforeseen circumstances, you need to plan for them. You need to plan. This is out of the context of what we are conversing today, but I think it's important because if you're going to find yourself in leadership, it would mean that you'll be handling different projects, different kind of things. So knowing that you should always have a backup plan. When things don't go as planned, what's the fallback plan? You should always have a backup plan. Case in point, if you are planning to do electronic registrations for an event, better have your registration forms, like your A4 papers printed neatly, designed and printed, so that people who are not able to register, via the electronic channel can do manual registration, so you're not losing data, because you can't say, oh, we didn't plan for manual registration, or maybe internet decides to, if you're doing like direct registration to like a Google Sheet or something, internet decides to now mess up that day. You're going to lose a lot of data if you don't have a fallback plan with the manual process. So yeah, that's one thing. I'm going to read what's in the chat and then I'll talk about it and tell you why I asked that question. So Bisola says, I think, again, thank you, Abigail, and thank you, Abdulhamid. I think the first thing I'll do is to find an alternative vehicle to get to the venue first. On my way, I'll try to put a call through to the sound engineers and confirm where they are. Okay, very proactive thinking. All right. Elizabeth, I'll first ensure that I'm calm and speak with one of my team members to re-strategize for alternatives regarding logistics. For the facilitator, we can fix something within the limited time. Now, everybody's answer is correct. But we're talking about leading others today. So I'm going to tell you why I asked that question. I'll use Bisola's response as a case study. So Bisola, your response has a lot of I will, I will, I will. So that tells me two things. You're the kind of leader that is like me. You're the superwoman kind of leader that tends to get things done by themselves most of the time. Maybe unconsciously, we're like that, people like me. But that's the difference between your response, even though it's actually correct. It's not wrong to do any of these things you have stated. But that's the difference between your response and that of Elizabeth, Abigail, and Abdulhamid. So three of them, and that's what I was looking out for. Three of them mentioned I would delegate, I'll reach out to team members. I believe I have team members. And I know that maybe right now, because you're thinking, okay, what am I going to do as Bisola? Which is okay, again, like I said. But, and that jumps out, and that's probably one of the first lessons I'm going to be teaching you. When it has to do with leading others, you must learn to, and this is, the class has started. Thanks again, everybody, for your responses. When it comes to leading others, just before I pull up my slide, you must be conscious of empowering people to take up responsibilities. Right. You must be very conscious of empowering your team. If you try to do everything yourself, you're going to, first of all, burn out. The people under you will not get the chance to grow. I don't know if I shared this story, but I talk about her a lot. One of my first mentors, I think I was maybe 24 or 25 with zero background in HR. I studied industrial chemistry. Straight out of school, I worked briefly in with a business consulting firm. And then I started my career in oil and gas, right? So I didn't have any HR experience, like HR. The closest to a HR experience I had was, the business consulting firm. I was human capital learning and development specialist. So that's like learning and development. So all of the training programs coming up with the curriculum and all of that. So it wasn't like mainstream HR, right? It was just the learning and development angle of HR. Right. And then my mentor, who is a HR specialist, organized some sort of HR training for HR people. And Of course, I was in charge of making sure resource materials were ready. So she had done all of her slides and sent it to me to go and print. And, so the closest I had to, being a part of, getting the resources available was just making sure that we printed the handouts. Because at the time, so many years ago, we're going to give it to the registered participants. The day before the training, my mentor gets a call from her superior, her boss, and says, appear. Now, in the planning of that particular training, she already had a HR specialist who was going to do the training side by side. So she was going to teach some topics while the other person, HR specialist, would teach the remaining topics. And here she has to now last minute move. And she says, okay, Ivory, so you're going to handle the first day one topic because it was a 2 or 3 day training. You're going to be handling the topics for day 1 and 2. Hey, imposter syndrome, everything syndrome, every kind of syndrome you can think about. But my head, I was like, how? Like, from where to where? I don't know jack about HR. In fact, this document I'm looking at, I don't know jack about HR. And that's how she always did. At least she put me on the spot like this 3 times in the 4 years of mentorship. And she says, I'm traveling, so handle it and give me feedback. I didn't even have the time to say, Ma, sorry, did you mean somebody else? Hey. And that was how the only thing I could do was what? Go and read the manual. Thank God there was even a resource material. Maybe, thank God. So I burnt the midnight can. I don't think when I wrote WAEC or what's it called? Aptitude test or degree exam, I burnt as much candles as I did that night, and I immersed myself in that material, did a bit of research around the topics, tried to simplify, I did a lot of work around it. And the next day I showed up well dressed and everything, and I delivered. You would not know that I did not know jack about HR. You would like I don't know where it came from. Of course, I believe that enablement also came from God and the grace of God upon my mentor, that probably transfer of spirit. If you're a person of faith, you understand these things. But I did my own part of preparing. That was how I grew. I got a lot of questions, during that, and I was answering. And there was one question I didn't. I said, okay, I'll get back to, because I'd also researched, because I just to prepare. If they ask me a question I don't know the answer, what's the best answer? That's the first time I researched that question. I said, okay, I'm gonna give that to you as an assignment. So that's the answer Google gave me that. So I said, give them back as an assignment. Tell them that they should go and do a research on that question, blah, 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 blah. And then you're going to come their answer to yours. And that's exactly what I did. Did they know that I did not know the answer? They did not know, but that was how I stepped up, It shocked me so much, shocked me. So of course, the feedback was over the top, like over the roof. And then she did it like 3 more times. And I grew. That's one of the things that grew my confidence in public speaking. It built my confidence it made me even think, oh, you're actually smart, right? I never second guessed my being smart or anything, but these are some of the experiences that sort of reinforces, of course, not negating the fact that the grace of God carries us through, right? But you have to acknowledge the parts where you actually did the work. And that was how I found myself. And it sort of also helped me pick up, I already was passionate about training, teaching, and all of that, but it sort of refueled my passion to transfer knowledge to people. That was how they say an eagle, one of the ways that the eagle teaches or even birds generally, but I think particularly the eagle, teaches their young how to fly is how they will carry their young from the nest, fly a distance, then drop the bird. They will drop the bird, and the little one knows that is either I fly or I die, right? Because the height of even, bird from how high an eagle flies, from that height, it try and hit the ground and see if it's not your casket they'll be carrying in 20 minutes. So it's a case of if I have to survive. And that's one thing about life generally. When you know that you do not have any other option, there is no other safety net, there is no other lifeline, you will put on your thinking cap. Your innovative, skill will come out because that goes with survival lens. Abigail, your hand is still up. I want to believe it's from the last time it was up. Is when you know that your only survival now is to think of a way out, and that's how the little bird learns to fly. Now the eagle is not going to let the child, he will keep doing it because there are some that will not catch it on the first drop. No, so the eagle will spring down and catch that one. There are some that will not, you have to do it is by maybe some, the eagle is not going to abandon their child, but they will keep doing that. Sometimes they will even intentionally push you out of the nest. They don't even need to carry, they'll just push you out of the nest and watch you. That's one of the fastest ways to grow people, by giving them responsibility. So yes, Bisola, whereas you would do all of that, the difference now is that you're going to delegate to people because you need to. And by the way, those of you talking about backup speaker, how, when? Do you know how hard it is to get a backup speaker, to even get one speaker to come for an event? Then backup speaker, is it like this backup speaker, you just wake up? Are you going to be paying them $1 million? Because now at that level, it will definitely not be very easy to get an actual backup speaker on the day of the event, no matter how. So chances are they might even be engaged with another event. They didn't plan for it. Someone like me, I won't just get up and go because I'm called, because I have to plan towards stuff. They have to prepare themselves. So being a backup speaker might not be the best solution at that time or the most realistic. If you're able to get it, fine. That means you already, and what that would entail is that you already told them, see, all of our speakers, just in case this speaker does not show up, just prepare yourself. And that's a good plan, to have too when you're doing your speaker. And most of the time, do that internally because no mainstream speaker wants to feel like second fiddle. Okay, you're not using me. You now want to use me as your contingency plan. All right. So you want to probably prep people within your team. So typically, let me say in a setting like Y-State, if you have external speakers for entrepreneurship program, I'd always prep maybe my board members who are like internal team members. Please, if there's if for any reason this does happens, so you have those people on your team, so you can do that. But the other best, most realistic option then might be to just rework your entire speaking schedule and take off that slot. Unfortunately, if it's like a key topic, I'm even wondering if it's a keynote speaker, just like Abigail said, you would have prepared yourself, but it's not every topic that you can prepare yourself. There are specialization topics that no matter how much you prepare. So think of all the possible, strategies that you can use to mitigate that issue whenever it happens. All right. So the first part of this, do you have any questions? Do you have any feedback before I move? There are different principles of effective leadership. I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to take bits and pieces of it. How to effectively lead others and create impact. I've said here that effective leadership is the ability to influence people towards a shared goal. So, and this involves building trust, take note, providing direction, and bringing out the best in others. So you cannot talk about leading others if you're not going to influence them. The word here is influence. Leadership is influence. I always tell people leadership is not power. One of the misconceptions that people have about leadership is that leadership is about power and authority. There are different levels of leadership, right? 4 levels of leadership. Positional leadership is the least level of leadership. You see, positional leadership, that one that people only follow you just because they gave you a position. That means if they remove that position, in fact, give me a second, let me pull it out. So positional leadership is that one where you're only a leader because you were given a role. You were given the leadership role. You're given a leadership role. That's the lowest form of leadership. That's the lowest form of leadership. 5 level, let me Okay, I'm good. I'm seeing what I'm looking for. So I can put it on my screen. Can you see my screen? Please confirm. What can you
Okay,
see?
we can see it now. Five pinnacles. Pinnacle respects people because of
Five
who
levels.
you are.
So yeah, okay, great, great. Thank you. So the 5 levels of leadership. See at the bottom rung, this is positional leadership. So you have the right to lead. People follow you because they have to, which means that if they remove this position, if you're not an actual leader, people will not follow you. This means that if they remove your position, so if they remove team leader or manager or choir director or president of the youth fellowship or head CMD or whatever it is that is a title. So this particular kind of leadership is very title based. They've given you a position. So this is why people would follow you. This is why people, okay, we're just following her because we don't have a choice. If they don't follow you, it could be counted as insubordination. It is good to have positional leadership and it might be a good starting point for some people, but this is not the kind of leadership that you want to actually be practicing. You want to be the kind of leader that does not need a position to lead. Now, the second level of leadership is permission. And here, people follow you because they want to. What happens at this level is that you have now built relationships, right? So the first one talks about you have the right to lead them. So this is very governance based, this is very structure based, this is very process based, right? Remove all of the structure, remove all of the processes, people would either follow you or not. And most times, if you are not able to move beyond positional leadership, people will leave you the moment you lose the position. That's actually one of the ways to test if you're a good leader. If people still follow you, listen to you, want to hear what you're saying, want to hear your opinion about stuff, even if you're not answering leader. So the second one is permissional leadership. So here you have built relationships with people. Now you are beginning to build some level of, so here is more I mean, relational, right? They are now following because they consider you their friend. They want to support you because maybe you have shown them a level of care. So because they've seen that you care. So here, this is how you get here is the case. You know, the popular saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. When people begin to know that you care for them, genuinely care for them, they will begin to submit to your leadership because you have shown that you're interested in their growth, in their success. So what happens here is that you have to always call them, check in with them. How are you doing? How is this going? Are you good? How are you? Are your children good? This just let them know that you care about them even beyond the work and beyond their performance, and they genuinely care. Now, the third level of leadership is production-based leadership, and here it talks about the results. People follow you because of what you have done for the organization or because of the results you have achieved, right? Influencers, okay, I'm going to come to that. Here, people are following you because they know that you're probably the best person. They know that there is something they can learn from you. So they're not just here because they like you. They're here because they know that you're a person of value. They know that you can bring results. They admire you. So what happens here a lot is admiration. First one is just this person is our leader. Second one is care, love and care, promoted by love and care. Third one is promoted by admiration and intrigue. So people admire you because of the results that you're achieved. People, want to follow you because they know that you're going to get, following you will get them to that expected. And so there's also trust that has been built based on the results that you have achieved. Right. Now, the fourth level of leadership talks about reproduction. I love this is for me, I believe in the principle of reproduction as a leader. I am the kind of leader that wants what's the vision you have? You need to, I want you to begin to get, get it executed. I want to reproduce myself. I have a core mentorship group, right? There are 12 of them. Are they up to 12 now? I don't know. There are like 11 or 12 of them, but I mean, my mentorship group, I don't exceed 12 per time and per phase because I have different phases of mentorship. I always tell them, if you're following me and you're not looking like me in terms of action, it's just a matter of time. They know I have a principle of 3 years. If after 3 years of following me, I have not seen what you have um birthed, what vision you're actively pursuing, I'm going to let you go because I'm the kind of leader that believes in the principle of return, and I believe that you're not following. And why is it 3 years for me? Because I believe that's the biblical model. Jesus, after when he came to the tree and said, after 3 years, this tree is not bearing fruit, blah, blah, yada, 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 cut it down. So that's it. And he also did his, life work in 3 years. So 3 years is enough time to begin to actually, let's assume that the first and second year are your years where you're trying to learn the ropes, where you're trying to become, because the principle of growth has to do with being, doing, the principle of dominion, being, doing, and having. You have to first be with the person, right? So you're already being with the person from position to permission to production. So you're being like them, you're learning their values, there's a transfer of spirit, not personality, there's a transfer of spirit, you're becoming like them. After you have become like them, you have to begin to do like them. You can't say I'm like them. There is image and likeness. When you talk about reproduction, you're talking about both image and likeness. Image is where you're looking like the person, maybe in terms of your values, in terms of your character, in terms of your mannerism. There are some people like Pastor Chris, I believe. There's one pastor that used to call his hair like Pastor Gan. Sometimes the man will come on that Chris. I said, no, he's not doing it because he wants to follow. That's part of what comes with reproduction. You unconsciously begin to even do like something, do like the person unconscious, whether you like it or not. But that's what happens when you stay. The principle of koinonia community. Yeah, and that's that. So you begin to reproduce. People follow you because now, and this is where you should aim to, one of the places you should aim to get to as a leader. I know that if I follow Korede, she's not just going to be giving me instructions. She's going to also, I'm going to grow. I'm going to become a better. In fact, let me even ask you, if you're under somebody's leadership and you notice that you're not growing, or you check, because I take stock, I'm one person that takes stock of the impact of relationships a lot. I take stock and I have not seen significant progress or improvement in this thing. Ah, well, I'm not one to waste time, where there is no result, where there is no growth. I'm very passionate about growth, personal growth, professional growth. I will find a more fertile ground that can help me grow, right? So here, people are following you because you're the kind of leader that reproduces yourself. So it stops being about you only, it becomes about us. So when we're talking of effective leadership, this is at this level, you're now reproducing team members, you're now, you know, people are now following you because they know that they are growing. This thing that says people follow because of what you have done for them, simply because you have also helped them achieve their goals. They have grown under you. They see that there is a prospect of continuous growth and development under you. And the last level of leadership is the pinnacle level. Here, people follow you because of who you are and what you represent. Respect. Now, pinnacle of leadership, unfortunately, this is where celebrities and influencers, right? Okay, let me not say celebrities because not every celebrity, as far as I'm concerned, is an influencer, but people can also influence you positively or negatively. But this is where actual influencers are. At this level, when you have reached this level, people will just go. If you say this book made save my life. You don't need to talk it too much. People will go and buy it. Your words become powerful. Your words become direction to people. Your lifestyle becomes what people want to follow. And that's why, when you get to this, and this is where you should eventually get to as a leader, because where you're commanding respect just by the way you have lived. But before you get to pinnacle, there has to be results, there has to be reproduction before you even get there. What do you represent? People are following you because they respect you. Recently, was taking stock of I got some feedback, some of my friends were talking about, some relationships, some mentorship relationships and stuff. And one of the things I said to the person was, the difference between you and XYZ person is this person has reached pinnacle in their leadership. Like, this person has reached where there is respect. She doesn't need to even demand it. Her results has shown, her track record has shown. So the people under her will be feeling privileged to be under her. She will not need to ask for anything. They will even be trying to do things to get in her good books. Excuse me. Right? What you need to do is, you're still at this level of leadership. You just need to keep producing results. You need to begin to make these people become, David's mighty men. If you know the story of David's mighty men, they met him as nobodies, but David made them become mighty men. Loyalty, you need to help these people. It stops being about what they are doing for you, whether they are serving you or not. Serve them. Once they see, there is no stronger proof that you can give them than proof of their own personal growth, right? They don't need to see that you're doing it. They see that they have become your own result. There is no how you will not get it. So I told her, just be patient with where you're at, do what you need to do to get to that level. You At this point, people grovel, people are looking to sow seed, people are looking to honor you, people are looking for how they can, stamp their name in your heart just because of who you are and what you represent. Okay, so if you're following me, please put a 1 in the chat for me. And if you have any questions about these levels of leadership, please let me know before we move to the next thing. Okay, great. If you're following, please put a 1 in the chat. Let me know that you're Blessing. Which one is 2 again? Blessing, you're not following me clearly. Okay. Blessing. All right. So do we have any questions about the 5 levels of leadership? Again, what are the 5 levels of leadership? Level 1 is what? Put it in the chat for me. I know, that's because you were not listening. Okay, says well. What's the first level of leadership? Thank you, Abigail. Another person, what's the second level? What's the second level? Permission. Awesome. So in positional leadership, what did we say? You have the right to lead. In permission, what's the difference between positional and permissional leadership? Position deals with the right to lead them. Permission deals with the what to lead them. What's the R in permission? Can somebody bail the cat? If I were you, I would have even done the screenshot of that. Yes, Ola, thank you very much. Permission deals with relationships. So people follow you at this point because they want to follow you, obviously, because they now like you. What's the third level of leadership? So this is 5 P's of leadership. Level 3 is what? No, not production. Oh, yes, production. Sorry, I said not production. Production, yes. What happens at production? Why? And I think it's very clear. So what fuels production? What fuels the production level? So right fuels permission, relationship, results. Absolutely. So people are following you now because of the results that you have. All right. So what's the 4th level? You guys are in class. I love it. What's the 4th level? What's the fourth one? People dev. Awesome. So what fuels it here? So result fuels production. What fuels people development? What's the principle at play here? Reproduction. Awesome. Come. I hope people are not using internet to answer me. Because the way the answers are coming out now, I love it. Awesome. Great. So here people follow you because of what you've done for them and because they also trust that you can make them become a better version of themselves. And the last level is what? What is the last level? Pinnacle. Great. So what happens here? The pinnacle. What happens here? What happens here? Why, what's happening here? Some of you are not answering. I hope you're in class. So at the pinnacle level, what's quelling it here? Yeah, people follow you because of who you are and what you represent, but there's something else. There's a word I'm looking for. So people have what for you at this level? Respect. Yes, very respect driven. Thank you. Yes, thank you, everybody. You guys are all correct. So here, people respect you. So you don't even have to say anything. They just respect and admire you. Now, I want you to answer me. I don't know if any of you are leading teams. If you're a team leader right now, you're leading any kind of team. What do you think your position is right now on the team that you're leading? What leadership level are you at right now with the team that you're leading? Be honest. I mean, the fact that you're even a leader is something to be proud of, right? To be happy about. But I want to know, what level of leadership are you at right now? In between positional and permission. Awesome. Thank you so much for the feedback, Abigail. Who else? Who else? Okay, Janet says positional. Awesome. Who else? Who else? Blessing. I know you're leading a team. What's number 3? Answer me with the I want you to use the 3 P's, the 5 P's. In between permission and production. So we're moving up. Okay. Great, 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 great. I'm proud of you guys. The fact that you're even a positional leader. Okay, production, production. Now, the truth is that that's also leadership journey, right? So nobody starts their leadership journey from pinnacle. Pinnacle is the height, is the apex, right? Nobody starts their leadership journey from pinnacle, but pinnacle is the goal. You want to so develop yourself as a leader such that you get to that point where you command a lot of respect, because of who you are and what you represent. Who can give me an example of people that are already at that level of leadership, both, in Nigeria and globally? Give me example, male and female. Tell me Nigeria or local and global. People who are at the level of pinnacle level of leadership. Give me a name. People are following this person. Eric Grigwa. Mm, okay. Eric Grigwa. So this is at the pinnacle. The truth is, I don't think he's at the pinnacle. He's probably at the pinnacle for some people, and that's another thing. Dangote, Okonjo-Iweala. But Eric Guga is typical pinnacle leader or pinnacle level leader for the younger generation. I would say that. And I dare say that some older generation people would also admire him. But he's a typical, especially because we're also talking about, we're in the youth demography. People respect him for who he is and what he represents. He might still need to keep building himself. I still need to. For someone like me, Guys, I'm so sorry. I got logged out. Okay. Abdulhamid, did you say no? Is it no to who? I mean, again, please let me not, I'm not discrediting him. He's amazing. I admire him for his age he has built. So I'm just saying that because maybe age for me and accomplishments for me, there are some people I would consider at the pinnacle of leadership. For example, a a an Ibukwa Awoshika, definitely pinnacle level for me. An Okonjo Iweala, definitely pinnacle level for me, right? So those are for me, those are people I would consider pinnacle level because and Ndidi Nwuneli, definitely pinnacle level for me. Who else? Who else? Efela Durotoye, definitely pinnacle level for me. Dr. David Oweli, definitely pinnacle level for me. So I'm saying those are the people. When you talk of pinnacle leadership, you have a question, Blessing. Your hand is up. You want to say something? Your hand is up,
Can you hear
Blessing.
me, man? Can you hear me, man?
Yes, please.
Yes. So my question goes to us. Is it that this level of leadership can it be the same for everyone? Because you mentioned something as regards Ergogwa that to some people Ergogwa could be like in the in the pinnacle level, that's level 5, while to some other people, probably people in his mentorship program, it could be like number 4. Maybe like he's trying to reproduce himself in them and all that. But do you think that we can be at different level of leadership to different set of people or different target audience? I don't even understand what I'm trying to say. That I could
Absolutely.
be at number 5 for
Yes.
certain people, and I could be at number 3 for certain people.
Yeah, and I did say that. I actually said that for some people, especially with your example, that's exactly what I said. That for some people, he's definitely pinnacle level. For me, I would not consider him for me, right? There are a lot of things that come into play even in the pinnacle level of leadership. And it's not a factor of age, even, right? It's not a factor of age. There are some young people who have reached pinnacle level of leadership. There are some young people who are just really there. They have achieved so much, right? So this, what you have just said is a fact. For you, you could actually be pinnacle level for somebody else, somebody maybe somebody younger. It really just cuts across your demography where you're finding yourself at your circle at the time. But there are some people that across all the different demographics, all the different generations, that's what I'm saying. But the goal, and it's not a factor of age, you can actually reach pinnacle level, still as a young person. You don't have to be like old and gray. But I mean, not there are some certain ages that I would consider maybe an average age. Now, this is not a law, but I think that on the average, based on what pinnacle level leadership is because it's also important for you to always apply yourself to keep growing your influence. You may be able to influence a 26-year-old. Can you influence a 60-year-old? Right. Let me tell you somebody that I believe, even though he's young, may have reached pinnacle level of leadership. If you know, and how you will know, because that is not about, is that you can get invited by even older people to speak to an older audience. And Orondam Otto, typical, because of who he is and who he represents. He's what, maybe 1 year older than I am, but I consider he's somebody I personally look up to. He's somebody I don't know his religious orientation per se, because for me that's a factor. Before I consider you somebody I can look up to for who you are, that's a huge factor. But all things being equal, he's somebody I think may have even reached what I consider pinnacle because now he's a person around them, Otto, the founder of Slum to School. The guy has built crazy influence even at a young age. He's swimming like, do you understand? He's somebody that I have seen being invited to speak on some kind of podiums, and you're wondering at such a young age. Malala Yousafzai, if that's how it's pronounced, has, I believe, now, I won't give names. Again, remember that this is relative. Funny thing is that this becomes a bit personal to you and who you consider, because there are some factors that will influence who I consider at the level of pinnacle of leadership. But on the average, there are like some generic factors that would let you know that this person has. So typical examples I'm most comfortable with, again, but it's not even about their age, is the likes of an Ibuku Awoshika, the likes of even a Barack Obama, for example, right? And again, it's not a, there are different kind of people. I'm not a huge Barack Obama fan, no. Not that I, but there are some people who Barack has reached the pinnacle, a global leader. I mean, if you're a world leader, it is considered that by virtue of that, you have reached your level of leadership. But let's not plug on this because um, let me put his name here. Orondam Oto. He's the founder of Slum to School, Tinubu Care. Janet, I'm sure you want to make the whole class laugh. Lionel Messi, maybe for football fans, what else has he done? I'm not a football fan, so I can't relate. But yeah, again, leadership, and remember that there are different stages of leadership. There are different. Janet, please, I don't know, but I don't know what I should say since you're not laughing with us. I don't know. But yes, in a sense, he has also reached a pinnacle of, because there are some people that are following him because of who he is and what he represents and what his money does for him. All right, so moving on. I'm glad that we got that. So the aim is to become that kind of leader who people would want to follow, even when you have not, like, even when you don't have a position, even they trust you enough to follow you. All right, so I'll put back my slides. So are we good? Can we move on? Please let me know. Can we move on? Is this a controversial topic? Who is a pinnacle level leadership? Now you can do a bit more research. Who do you consider? How do you recognize a pinnacle level leader? So that's an extended study. For me, Seb, I'm going to go and do that. How do you recognize a pinnacle level? What are the things that you look out for to consider someone a pinnacle level leader? All right, can you see my screen? Now, the first principle of effective leadership or leading other people, I think we dwelt extensively on this. So you definitely want to learn to lead yourself first. In that case study that we looked at the start of this class, where I talked about the issue with the event, it takes a lot of self-leadership to find yourself in that kind of situation and not lose your cool. Now, a lot of you said, I'll be calm. That's high level emotional intelligence, knowing that anything you do in that moment will affect the morale of the rest of your team. If you start going haywire, if you don't have your emotions in check, it will affect everything that would happen and you will have a terrible event. So self-leadership starts with also knowing how to guard your emotions so that people don't get discouraged, people don't get, just there are some kind of leaders you don't want to be around them. Have you not seen those kind of, like, once they're entering the office, everybody will start shaking. Everybody, I was just watching a movie on Netflix, Office Romance by Jennifer Lopez. And she was that kind of leader that was putting everybody. That's not leadership. That's not leadership. People should be able to be themselves around you. So, but how you can, but in the context of, and it's not from a place of leading yourself, as it were. I'm just saying that, when you're around people, people should be able to be themselves. What you do will determine how people will feel when they're around you as a leader. So on this, credibility must come before influence. That's what the principle here. You have to be credible by how you behave. You have to be consistent in your actions. You have to practice what it. So it's a case of role modeling. You have to be that person that you want others to become because you're demonstrating, to others who they should be by being that person. That's one thing. That's the thing about self-leadership. You want people to know the kind of leader they should be by being that kind of leader. I can't be the kind of leader that comes late to work. If I come late to work, I cannot ever punish people that don't show up to work. I can never have the moral temerity to talk about punctuality in the office. So you see how it waters down my leadership credibility. when I'm not imbibing the same values that I should as a leader. Imagine you saying, do not watch Netflix in the office, then your team member walks in on you watching a K-drama. What does that do? Your leadership, well, how they see you just is leadership is not do as I say, it's do as I do. Okay, so be consistent. Keywords there, be consistent with your actions. Practice what you want others to do. If you want your team members to be, like it happens to me even with Y-Saves. I notice that whenever I'm low on energy or anytime you see like low activities, because Ivory, Emeka-Oguagha decided to go and sleep for 2 minutes or for 1 week. The moment I start sleeping, the rest of the team begins to sleep. Nobody, your team members feed off your energy. Your team members feed off your energy. The best way to build a culture is by representing the culture that you want to build. You need to write that down. The best way to build a culture within a team is by being the first representative of that culture you want to build. So you want to build a culture of love, you have to be the one loving everybody up. You can't delegate that to anybody. You can't, it's not a skill, it's not a role that you delegate. You have to be the one showing love to your team members. You want to build a culture of diligence. You have to be the one showing diligence to your team members. Your team members cannot reach out to you and it will take you 4 working days. Now, there might be cases where maybe after a conversation, there are expectations, then you're now having to prioritize. That's a different case. But if it's from sheer laziness, so you cannot be telling them to be diligent when you're not a diligent person. They will not answer you. And you're going to reproduce the kind of leader that you are. So if you want an effective team, you have to be an effective leader. You're going to reproduce exactly the kind of leader that you are. Am I a leader that makes excuses? You will reproduce people. And the thing about reproduction is that you plant one seed. The fruit that will grow will come with 100 more seeds. What does that mean? You plant laziness, you will reap laziness pro max. It has a way of multiplying as it goes down. Imagine that you plant dishonesty, you will reap it. So you don't want to plant a seed that you're not going to feed, you're not going to be proud of, right? Then the next thing is to build trust. The truth is that trust is the foundation of every successful team. And that's what happens with leadership. If your people do not trust you, you cannot effectively lead them. People are only willing to follow the kind of leader that they trust. If they trust you, if you say jump, they will say how high. They will not say, will I break my leg? Did she provide a soft landing pad for me to break? If they trust you, because if people do not trust you, what they start looking out for themselves. And as a leader, you don't want to have a team where people are looking out for themselves. Hey, it's going to hurt your team, it's going to hurt your organization because they will never put the interest of your organization first. They will put their own interest first. So you have to build that trust. How do you build trust? You have to let them know that you care about them. I think one of the first ways to even build trust is apart from, yeah, keeping promises. If you say this is what we're going to do, keep to it. Imagine if somebody makes it. I'm going through a phase where I'm trusting God to help me rebuild the trust I have for somebody that I consider a leader, right? It's hurting me because this is somebody I cannot afford to not respect, right? But twice she has made promises to me that I did not ask for. It's one thing that you came and you asked for something and they promised to do it. At least that one, you know that they didn't prepare for it. But this person voluntarily promised, if I want, she reached out and said, what, which of, and the person has just ghosted. Now I for whatever reason, but it happened the first time. I'm like, okay, until date, no feedback, no word. In fact, the third party that was involved was the one that gave me a certain feel. Like, I felt bad about it. I was like, I didn't even want this in the first. I didn't ask for it. You literally reached out to me and made all of those promises. And because I couldn't, she's not somebody I can confront. Then this second time, before I even said Jack Robinson, I will do it. Come on, like, guy, I'm not, this is killing me because, hello, ma'am, I want to please stay respectable. I'm struggling here. Can you just help? Like, that's where I am with this person right now. So, what has it done? It has sort of made me lose confidence in her words. So now when she's talking, I'm like, how do I even trust what you're saying? I'm the kind of leader, at least at my level of leadership, your word becomes your bond. If I make a promise and if I can absolutely not meet it at the timeline that I gave you, I will at the very least reach back to you and tell you, please give me some time. That's one thing I know to do well. Please give me some time to sort this. I will communicate, but there hasn't been any communication. How has that impacted that person's leadership credibility? Especially to me, I don't think I can trust this person. So every other thing you're doing, well, I thank God for your successes and all of that, but I just, so the only way I'm processing it is that nobody is perfect. So I'm now praying for her and saying, Lord, this is a huge imperfection. And this is somebody that I'm bound to protect and love, right? This is a huge imperfection. Lord, please help her see it and help her really just cover this ground, But is the impact there? I'm able to now take this proactive step because I have understood leadership at that level. I've also understood honor. So I've understood covering nakedness, right? But does it impacted me? Absolutely yes. But I'm taking a proactive step so that I can maintain that relationship and still draw value because person is a high premium value person. I cannot even afford to not have in my life. Do you understand? But these are the things. So make sure you keep your promises, follow through on everything. Once you let your word become your book, please don't talk carelessly before you make promise, and they will tell you that please do not make promises, don't make any commitment when you're too excited. Those are two times you should not say anything. You should count the words before you say them. When you're overly excited about something and when you're overly depressed about, not like depressed, but when you're feeling low, those are the two times that anything you say, you can just say the wrongest things. Over excitement was what made what was his name, John the Baptist's head come off from his body when the king promised, because the girl danced and said, King, ask me anything up to half of my kingdom. How can a king be asking, what do you know what you've done? You have literally relinquished your authority and your position as a king. And of course, look at what the young lady asked for based off of the direction of her mother. So you want to make sure that you keep your promises. Do not commit to something you're not going to, you know, do not make promises for something you're not going to commit to doing. If you're not sure about it, I always say people that overpromise and underdeliver. That should never happen to you. It's better you underpromise and overdeliver, right? And the moment that you've given your word, let your word be your bond. Make sure you follow through on that commitment you have made. Even if you have to cross 7 seas and 7 mountains, please save your face, there's a lot at stake when you break your promises as a leader. There is a lot at stake when you don't follow through on your commitments as a leader. The next one is to treat people fairly. This is one of the ways to build trust. Apply consistent standards to everyone. Now, the other side of it is to show love, show care, show people that you genuinely care. But you see this thing of treating people fairly because I think man naturally practices favoritism without unconsciously. There will always be that preferred person. There will always be that one person on the group that gets you. Even pastors will tell you there are some pastors that when I'm praying for the church, I pray for the rest of the church and I pray for this person specifically. It's not because they want to. The person has served in such a way that their hearts have been stamped. So as a leader, one of the things you have is emotional intelligence. You have to apply equal standards to everybody. Love that person extra behind the scene, but you see, when you come on the scene where everybody is involved, it has to be fair treatment to all. I remember in secondary school, I was a prefect. Secondary school, I was just here and there. I wasn't there. I can't say I was a good girl. I was just a cool person, right? But I was on the other extreme. I was not, I can't tell you that but I had a strong sense of discipline. So I became a prefect. And you will not see me do a lot of all those bragado prefect. I'm just being on my lane. But one thing is that you do not want to cross my path. Like I respect myself so much and I love to be respected. So prefect then I was a border. So you take turns, maybe when it's time for prep in the hostel, you do all those counting, making sure everybody anytime it's time for me to if I'm the one on duty and I have to be the one to chase people out of the hostel, my voice is very loud, like it can't. Once, as in, once is me on duty. Now, here's the thing that happened. One day, I had two family friends, two of them in the same hostel as I was. And for some reason, one of them just decided that she was going to be silly and stay back because she somehow felt that I would overlook. Hey, if you know me, if you're close to me, I will hold you. In fact, I can let other people go, but you see, those that are you're somebody that has identified with me or somebody that I have identified with, I will hold you by a stricter measure of discipline. And then I did all of the counting and the chasing because what you typically do once you finish counting, you now start going from what's that thing they call it? From apartment to apartment. So that's how I now go looking for those hiding and all of to fish them out. And that's how I entered this apartment. And I saw this young lady lying down and gisting. Ha! Of course. Ha! She was the first person. I don't know if it was a slap I gave her, God forgive me, or I know that what I did to her that day, I made an example of her. I don't know if it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do because if I made the mistake of overlooking, that's the day that if I chase people again and they like I would not have any right to chase other people. And anybody that defies me would be justified because you're a partial leader. And I wanted to be known as in I didn't want any dent. Oh, I punished her. I don't think I slapped her. I'm not really a physical person, but I did give her a very grievous punishment. Guess what? After giving that, I entered my room. I was crying. My pain was, why would this girl make me do this to her? Because she's my family friend, somebody I love so much. But in the face of leadership, I had to choose um, fairness and justice. And those are some of the sacrifices of leadership. It pained me. I was crying in my room because as a prefect I had a solo. I was crying. I said, why would this girl he hurt me? And with that pain, I made sure, for you, oh, she didn't talk to me for weeks until later, and we now settled. But in fact, before when she hears, she said, please, I don't want. She'll be the first person. But what I did was people said if she could punish her family friend, and they know this is not my family friend. Let me make she was my best friend actually. She just happened to be in a junior class, right? But outside of school, we were best friends, like best friends. If she could do that, and everybody knew if she could do this, who am I? So that reinforced my credibility, and those are some of the extra sacrifices that you make as a leader. So apply consistent standards to anyone. The day you start showing favoritism, your credibility just and people will stop trusting your leadership. You become a fair weather kind of leader, anywhere belief is where, and all of that. The next thing is to be transparent, be honest and open. Be very honest. Let people know this is where we're at with this. This is the reality of things. This is how our finances are. This is this. Just be transparent. Tell people as they are, as things are. There is no need to try to form airs, not with leadership. Let the people know what is. I'm not saying that you should go and tell all your biggest secrets or anything. No, but be as transparent as you need to be. Now, if I say be as transparent as you need to be, some of you have different ideologies of how transparent they need to be, but be open and honest in all dealings that have to do with the team. If it's personal to you, leave it personal. But as long as it has to do with the team, you must make sure everybody knows where, everybody's carried along, everybody knows where you stand as a team across the different things that you're handling. And then the fourth one, this is not exhaustive. There are other ways to build trust. Is admit your mistakes. Oh, this is lovely. And I think this is one thing that I don't know who I learned it from, but as a leader, if I know I've done something, because sometimes leaders, there are sometimes, hey, when you're correcting, I have my moments too, like that. Once I see that, because I'll go back and say, I'll just call the person, I'm sorry. I didn't do well here. I should have spoken to you differently. I really apologize. And you now see the person breaking down, sorry to my, and all of those things. It doesn't make you weak. Admitting that you're wrong, admitting that my last workplace, that was one of the things I had a problem with, the person and my boss. But yeah, it's fine, but there's something leaders start to do. Instead of admitting your mistake, start gaslighting your team members, start making like sometimes some leaders go as far as lying to cover their own errors. I don't see. I had an uncle that said if you ever have to lie to cover up an act, you're a coward. That's number one. If it's only cowards that tell lies, then number two, if you ever have to, if you know that this will make you lie, then don't do it. And please, genuinely, nobody's above mistakes. Not nobody is above mistakes. Even Bible say that God repented that He made man. I'm not saying that His making man was a mistake, but nobody's above mistakes, right? Including you. You will not get it right all the time. You're not going to get it correctly all the time, but it takes a lot of boldness and courage and self-awareness and self-belief to know that bungled here, oh, guys. I really bungled here. This is not the way to go. What do you think this being that way would do to your team? Can someone let me know? If you're the kind of leader that admits mistakes, of course, please don't be making too much mistake because that is the one way to lose trust too. When people see that you're making too much mistake, but if your team members see that you own up to your errors, what do you think it would do to your team? Let's discuss. Somebody, what will it do to your team? Or if you were in a team where your team leader always does not, hide that, oh, they didn't made a mistake here, or they own up to their mistakes, what would it do to you as a team member? I would like responses. You can unmute if you want to speak.
Okay, thank you for asking that question. For me, I think that will make me feel like a person that is also supposed to be able to take correction. Because if I see that, it will also help me reflect on myself. Because people are mirrors. When they project positivity to you, when they project humility to you, you also tend to bring that mirror back to yourself and be like, if this person can be this humble, then who am I? Like, I'm not even up to this person's stage. And it also helps to do better it also helps to set a standard that if this person is doing this, then I can also do better than this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bisola. Absolutely. You will make you reflect so much on even you as a person. Of course, that for me, it would increase my admiration of the person, whoever it is, because I know what it takes to admit one's mistake at that level of leadership. I know that it's not a virtue that a lot of people have because wants to feel like they know it all there. But if I see that one leader who is very humble enough to admit their mistakes, it will increase my admiration for them and will also teach me something. Okay, bless them. Just before you speak, and let me just take they will also be able to admit, and so thank you again, Bisola, for that. They will also be able to admit and open up to theirs and be transparent as well. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Abigail. This is the reflect. This is a seed that you have sown. Oh, I'm open about my mistakes. So then your team members can trust you to also open up to you about their errors. Do you understand? And what that does for the team is that when people are open to talk about both their challenges, right? If they know that my team member is open to people making mistakes, they will not now be trying to hide a lot of things or trying to, overprove themselves, especially when things have already gone bad. They will know that they can actually open up. You don't want to be leading a team where things are, at the leadership level, you cannot see anything. So many times you're depending on the reports they are giving you about stuff. I've had those experiences as a leader, but I had one of the facilitators, there was a communication with one of my team members, and the feedback the person gave me was incorrect. So I made decisions based on the feedback my team member gave me. It was like maybe 1 month later, the facilitator had to reach out to me because we needed to reach out to the facilitator for something else, or this stakeholder for something else. And the person said, I have to, in fact, it was another team member who had another dealing with that stakeholder. Richard, and the person said, before I engage you guys any further, this happened, this, and that was how I heard it. I wouldn't have known if this stakeholder did not bring it up. And of course, that my other team member returned and said, this is what this person is saying. I immediately called the speaker and I had all of those apologies. The truth is that now doesn't mean that the person acted because they make a mistake and for whatever reason, because she's not usually like that. But these are the kind of things that can spoil when your team members don't feel that they can trust you enough to open up to you about their errors or their mistakes. A lot of things. So you want to create that environment where people feel like you can actually talk about your errors, you can actually reach out for help, so that everybody finds a way to solve. It just brings that spirit of inclusion into the team, right? Yeah, so and yeah, again, that's it. I'll feel like indeed mistakes are human. I should not feel withdrawn when one exactly. So this I play on people's emotions now, people's mentality, all of those things happening. Just one action from a leader. This is how it impacts the team. It will make me respect the person more and also be open to take absolutely. In fact, the person that admits their errors when they are wrong, you'll be more open to admit, to take correction from them. That's the truth. Because they've already built that channel, right? They've already been done the one that is all perfect and all, and that's the problem we have as team leaders. You want to show your team that you're perfect. They're not seeing the reality of it. So they're over trying. They're wondering if they're not doing well enough. They're living in all of those illusions of what productivity is and all of that. It's not. Thank you so much, Abigail. Thank you, Bisola. Thank you, Esther. Okay, I'll take from you, Blessing, very quickly.
All right, ma. Thank you very much, ma. I really believe that admitting one's mistake fosters a sense of accountability, and it really just says to the whole team that we are driving towards a particular goal. So if one person gets it wrong, or if one person makes an error in a particular place or in a particular area, it will hinder the growth of the team or to hinder the achievement of our goal. So if you just speak to, like, it gives this kind of accountability that now everyone knows that their input is very important. So if they get it wrong somewhere, it is against the whole team. It hinders the achievement of the goal of the whole team and the community whatsoever.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And this actually promotes open door policy. A lot of organizations say we have open door policy. You can come and tell us what you think. You can blah 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 blah. Open door policy when everybody's perfect, so that I can now carry my own and go, and I'll be the odd man out now. So these are things that foster healthy, culture within the team. There's a sense of inclusion. Nobody is feeling less than the other person because everybody is just perfect. People don't make mistakes, and you're the one. Remember what I said: if you want to build a culture, you have to be the press representative of that culture that you want to build. So if you want openness on your team, you have to be very open. You want to be team members who are open to correction, who are transparent in their dealings. You have to first be transparent in your dealings with them as well. You have to be who you want your team members to be ultimately. Thank you, everybody, for the insightful, very value-packed feedbacks. All right, so the third principle is communication. So you need to be an effective leader, and if you're leading people, you have to learn to communicate clearly. People cannot follow what they do not understand. Communication is not just speaking, it is ensuring understanding. I can do a whole sermon on this communication thing because I have experienced it at different levels in leadership, both as a leader in the home, as a mom that has domestic assistants. In fact, this is one of the ways this actually jumps out, because clear communication is not just that you communicated articulately. Communication is not completed. Is understanding is not received. Remember that communication is a two-way thing. I speak to you, you understand and you respond if you want to, if it's something that requires a response. But you have not communicated if the person you're communicating to does not understand what you're saying. Anybody can come on the stage and speak, public speaker, but what would you see about a public speaker that makes the person an excellent speaker? Please, I want you to put some of the things for me in the chat. Some of the speakers that you have ever admired, what makes you admire them? Or what do you think makes them outstanding speakers? What do you think makes them outstanding? Just put some of the elements. There's some of you that are not responding, are not saying anything in this. I'll call your name. James, Michael, Anna, Esther, Korede. Oh yeah, everybody. What makes an outstanding speaker? So one of all those public speakers that you have admired, the ones that speak, public speakers, what's one thing about them that makes you admire them? Effective communication. Break it down for me. When you say effective communication, what exactly? I want you to just break it down in relation to you. What do you consider effective communication, Michael? What do you consider effective communication? How they pass the information. Bring it home. How did they pass the information? It makes me respect him or her so much because the message to me is all those that he scored are learned credibility. Okay. The message being passed is well understood. Clarity, easy to understand. Absolutely. Now, Abdulhamid, I'm having a problem with your communication because I do not understand your message, you see. So you have communicated, but it's not clear to me what exactly you're saying. Maybe some typos here. You may want to look at it and edit. So I'd really love to hear your thoughts and understand what you're trying to say here because I know that is definitely something that we can learn from. So maybe look at that message and edit, or you can just repost or even unmute your mic and talk. It's fine. So how they pass the information, Michael says the message being passed is well understood. Absolutely. That's A to Z. Esther, thank you. Clarity, easy to understand. You know, there's sometimes somebody will talk to you. Have you ever heard that said, speak it to me, explain it to me like I'm a 2-year-old? How many of you have heard somebody say that? Or explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old? If you've heard it, just say yes. So obviously, hey, how many of you know Patrick or Bayangbon? I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name. That man that year, Krinkum Krankum. Krinkum, that's the only thing I remember. Do you remember the Krinkum? Is it Krinkum Krankum? How many of you remember? Bam. The man was communicating every time, but did he ever communicate effectively? Hardly. Because what the hell is Krinkum Krankum? What the hell are all those things? What the hell are all those things that he says? And that is why many times too people are not are not delivering because they don't understand what you're saying. Now, in this effective communication, one of the things is vision casting. You have a team means that there is a goal that all of you are working towards. There is a primary goal all of you are working towards. Do your team members even understand the vision? For a long time, even with Y Saves, I felt like I had a lot of volunteers on the team that didn't even understand. They just came because they had this NGO. They are passionate about. Let's say always hilarious. But which one is explaining to you like a donkey? They will soon explain, are you a donkey? They will now go and give you donkey language. You now see that I'm telling you, those, and you can't remove them. What you can only do is to keep explaining the vision to them, show them how they tie into or their passion, so that they can remain relevant. Otherwise, if they don't even, after a while, though they came with passion, but they don't even understand what you are doing here, they don't understand what the vision is, they won't know how to follow. If people do not understand the vision, they will not know how to follow. You need to write that. If people do not understand the vision, they will not know how to follow, even if they have the passion to follow. Do you understand? If people do not understand the vision, they will not know how to follow, even if they have the passion to follow. So always communicate. So what I did, I had a house help from the north. They brought her from the north. Oh my goodness. I will talk, talk, talk to her. Sometimes I speak with an accent, right? And sometimes I forget that this girl is from the north. Then she will run off. Then she'll come back. Let's say I attempt her to do one thing. She'll come back. She has done the very opposite. My frustration was over the roof. Over the roof. One day, I said, I have seen the passion in this girl. And I've sort of done a spirit test. You know, sometimes when people are working for you or working with you, you want to check their spirit if they have the right kind of spirit. And I saw that she had the right heart. Why on earth is this girl making all of these mistakes? So I said, let me handle this thing like I'm handling. I said, do you understand the things I say to you? Guess what she told me? She said, sometimes no, ma. I said, no one. I said, okay, when you don't understand, why don't you tell me you don't understand? You know, normal now. I know, no, I go tell you, say, I know, so I go just, I said, no. So I had to teach her that with me. Hmm? I would rather say it 10 times to make sure that you understood than have you assume that you understood and have you go and scatter something. Do you understand? I'm very patient with teaching, so I would rather teach you. I can only now begin to spank your bum bum when I have taught you 1,000 times and you're choosing not a hair. I'll now start adding you. But am I willing to teach? Of course. Am I willing to make you understand? Of course. So I made it clear to her. And guess what I now started doing after? Every time I send her on an error, I say, what did I say? In fact, the first 2 times, when she replied, I said, hey, I carried my hand on my head. I said, what's that her name? Charity, no go kill me for this house. But I had to slow down. I had to start talking like, when you're talking, I thought at the point I started speaking pidgin to her, which is I don't know how to speak pidgin fluently, but I just had to start so that my own is, if I'm going to work with this girl, I need to communicate at her level. She needs to understand the things that I'm saying. That's the only way. And the moment I broke down my communication style to her level, which involved a lot of pidgin, right? I did not have an issue with her until she had to go back to her house. In terms of communication, clear communication, and she would do things and do it well. She was one of the most efficient domestic assistants I had. But imagine if I was getting frustrated at not knowing that the communication was the problem. So that's one of the things you need to look out for. And my team members, and also be conscious, know that your team members might not all be at the same level in terms of communication. When you enter a corporate setting, they'll tell you the low hanging, these are low hanging fruit. You've never heard low hanging fruits in your life, or you don't even know what they're talking about. I'll circle back to it. Not those are our corporate jargon that we use. I'll circle back. Those are management languages, all right? I'll circle back to you. This is a low hanging. Somebody does not know that what you mean by low hanging fruit. This is an easy kill, an easy target. You need to speak so that they understand what you mean by low hanging. Is it low hanging mango, low hanging orange? So you need to understand some of these things and communicate to your team members in the language that they would understand. Make it very clear. And for you to ask them, know that you're communicated. Always make sure that you get feedback. What did I say? Even on this call, I'm doing it. Occasionally, I take a pause to get your feedback to know if you're following or if I'm saying one thing and you're hearing another thing. So communicate vision, or I didn't even communicate vision and expectations clearly. Absolutely. I don't want to overemphasize that. I already talked about it. Communication is listening. You have to, somebody said that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth because God expects us to listen twice as much as we speak. Very true. Effective leaders are effective listeners. You cannot be an effective leader if you're not an effective listener. I can speak a sermon on this and not get tired. Because communication is not just what you say, there is body language in communication. I know people till today who are not able to read the room. You're not, as leaders who are not able to read the room. People are tired. Can you end this here? Saturation has occurred. You're not reading the room. They just go on talking and talking. And it's just from a place of passion. To them, I need to pass all of this information to these people. I need to tell them. So, and it's a genuine desire, right? But of what use will it be if these people you're speaking to now, their mind is in the egusi soup that they cooked at home because they have been in this meeting for too long and hunger has started, and maybe you don't even have a good sense to prepare refreshment. So you need to listen. What are you listening for? Feedback. You're watching. Listening is now even visual listening. You're looking for body language. Then there's a kind of listening that you have to listen to hear what they are not even saying. Because somebody can say something and leave it at the surface. Because maybe in a bigger circle, they may not want to say exactly as it is in their heart, just because they're trying to be emotionally intelligent. As a leader, you must be able to listen to hear what they are not even saying. Sometimes it's because they are genuinely not able to articulate their thoughts, but there are sometimes it's because they are not very sure if they should say it the way it is doing them, really doing them. So as a leader, okay, that's fine, Rukaya. As a leader, make sure you watch the recording. As a leader, you have to make sure that you're listening for what is not even being said. Okay? That's that. I'm looking at the time. Correct, you're not even giving me reminder. It's almost 7. Okay, then the next one is provide regular feedback, like I said. So always feedback is a good thing. This program, this is the last class. By tomorrow, or by Monday, Corridor is going to send out the feedback form. Yeah, we want you to give us honest feedback on the program experience. That's part of the communication. No, it's not distraction. You need to, you should just give me a prompt. You don't worry, you have my permission to give me a prompt. Now it's for 4 minutes to 7. Then you create an environment where people feel heard. On the fellowship I'm in, there's something they did that was very profound. You know how you join a program and they already have all of the policies, policy documents, everything. Guess what? On this program, they already had like a prototype, but guess what they did? They shared it with us and said, everybody review it. And right in class, our first class, they asked us, put us in groups. What does, a healthy learning kiniko mean to you? What are the elements we need to put in this program? So things that you would typically wait till to get feedback on at the end of the program. No, they brought it forward. What are the things that you think we need to include in this policy document to make you have the best? It blew my mind. I said this Oyibo people, it blew my mind. Like it blew my mind. And that's something that I took like very well. And by the grace of God, we can maybe apply, because the whole point of learning and being on all of these different programs is so that you can also apply it to what you're doing and do better, do a better delivery of whatever it is you're doing. Oh, it made us feel like, oh my God, these people actually designed this for us. So it's not. And the first time I had my session with my coach, because we also get access to private coaches, I noticed the way the conversation went. Now is of course different things, different conversations make for different delivery style. So it's a teaching class. I definitely obviously do more of the talking. But as a coach, and she made it clear to me, as your coach, I'm not your mentor. I'm just going to help you maybe strengthen the beliefs that you already have, give you some sort of guidance. And on that first call, she will say one thing and she will ask me, what do you think about this? What do you think? So, in fact, it was my response. Additional Daniels, you literally just came and you're asking for attendance. Is that a good thing? Abi, I did not see you. I have not seen you since I started this class. So, eh, we'll investigate your matter. Aha, and he's off the call. Well, what does the attendance do for you if you lose the knowledge? Okay, so for me, now I've lost my train of thought. Okay, let's just move on. I've lost. Can someone remind me what I was saying? What was the last thing I was saying? Can
You
somebody
said she
remind
asked
me? Oh yeah, so she
you
was
said
asking the question. Yeah, thank you, Cordy. She was asking, so when she talks, she would, so most of the conversation was being driven by the things, my responses. And I remember the last, when we finished, and she asked me, so what did you think of this conversation? What did you think of this session? You know, and I started telling her how, man, it opened my mind to a lot of that. I didn't even realize some of it, and I was basically appreciating. And one of the things she said to that stood out for me was, I needed to give more credit to yourself, because truly you were the one that held this conversation. You were the one that steered it in the direction that it went. So I needed to give yourself that. That's what she said to me. And I remember that at some point in the conversation, she was like, okay, we have a few minutes left. What do you want us to talk about? I said, well, right off the bat, I could not think of anything, but I gave it a few seconds. I said, okay, I'm going to tell you my story of how I even found myself in the social impact space. And my telling her my story was what opened up every other aspect of that conversation. So, yeah, so that's part of leadership, being able to communicate effectively, create an environment where people feel seen, people feel heard. All right, now I'm going to really run. I don't know. Do I have your permission to wrap up this slide? Because it's 7 o'clock and our classes are supposed to end at 7. Should I wrap up the slide or do you want to? I have to double. I need your permission to go on. And I promise to try and wrap this up in the next 20 minutes. Should I go ahead or should we wrap it up here? Okay. Thank you, Corey. I need another person. Okay. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Abigail. I like to get a quorum. So quorum is if I get 60% of the class. Thank you, Adeshino. Thank you, Damilola. Do we have 60% responses? That's about 8 out of 16. That's minus me. Okay. Do we have 8 now? Okay, I think we have. All right. So thank you so much. So I'm going to respect your time too and move very fast. Thank you, guys. So the fourth principle is to understand and value people. Leadership is about people, not about that. I wrote something about this on my LinkedIn, I think sometime last week. People perform better when they feel valued. So true. I've had a lot of experiences working with different leaders in the corporate world. And this is one of the things. I'm a very people-centered kind of leader. I'm very people-centered. But the kind of leaders we have in the corporate sector, especially for these growing organizations, younger organizations, they are so tax driven. They're like Wall Street kind of leader. We don't care how the work gets done. We don't care about the people, just get it done. But people perform better when they feel valued. And I like that I'm that kind of leader. And I think that's one of the things, number one, maybe being a Christian or just being the kind of person. I can be very work driven. I'm choleric. I have choleric tendencies, but I have also worked on my temperament so that I am able to douse down on the excesses of each of my temperaments. I'm a claw male. So some people think I'm a male claw. I think I'm a male claw, Sha, because the choleric comes out when I have work to do. But I also think I'm mostly male because of the perfectionist thing. But either ways, you have to be that kind of leader that people love to work with. How many of you will have watched The Forge? If you've watched it, let me know. Let me know The Forge. You've watched The Forge, the movie. You've watched it. Let me know in the chat that you've watched it. Have you watched it? Yes, yes. How many of you have watched The Forge? Forge, F-O-R. James. It's only James that has watched The Forge. Okay, if you've not watched it, please go and look for it. It's on Netflix. The Forge, F-O-R-G-E. Now, The Forge, long story short, but there was a time the company had a major delivery to do, and it was going to be, wait, the rest of you have not watched The Forge. Okay, please make sure you go and watch it. It's on Netflix. Definitely recommend because there are lots of things you will learn on leadership from the movie, The Forge. They needed to deliver on this. In fact, the person that gave them the deal to have a reason to now not to do the business with them because it was going to be impossible for them to deliver on it. And the CEO, the man at the time, and his wife were at wit's end. There was nothing else they could do. Guess what? It was the team members led by the young boy who is the protagonist of the movie. The guy said, guys, this will require us to work overtime. This will require us to sleep here. We're going to deliver on this thing. The guy just gave motivational talk, and part of what he played on was, and why people accepted was the man treats them well. This company, they had bought into the company as their company. Like, this is our thing. If this vision dies, it's all with our failure. They have gotten a sense of ownership. They have become one with the organization. So it wasn't they were not working there because just employees. They were working there as co-owners, as stakeholders. They had moved from being just employees to seeing themselves as stakeholders. But they got there because of how the CEO made them feel working there. And they worked over. In fact, the CEO did not, they were in their house. The man was in his house already saying his last prayer, him and his wife, as per we failed on this thing. Next thing, their system, of course, started showing activity in the factory and everything. And the moment they saw that the team members, they now woke up. And that's leadership. So I saw them. They now woke up and started joining them. So they were giving their own support from the leadership from the house. Everybody just doing their thing. But all those, it's not the type that, oh, they are working. Well done. God bless you. Okay, tell me when you're done. No, immediately everybody joined forces and they delivered on it. They delivered on it. But why would people go that far to save the business And of course, when they delivered, that thing got them a retainer for like 3 or 5 years. I think the man offered them 3 years, but the guy negotiated 5 years. You know, so it's important that you understand people and you value. Understanding people is also important because people have different kinds of temperament. That's why if you're a leader, you need to go and read about the temperament so that you know why this person talks too much in the office. That's a sanguine. You know that why this person is very quiet, maybe melancholy or phlegmatic. You know why this person sounds authoritative or bossy because it's their choleric. It doesn't excuse their actions, but at least you understand and you can empathize or you can bear with them as they continue on their growth journey. So learn their strengths, understand what each person does best. Part of learning their strengths, also learn their personalities because their personalities will have strengths and weaknesses. Understand their motivation, know what drives each individual. One of the things that they will tell you as a leader, if you want to get your people to perform, show them how their personal goal ties into the bigger vision. Somebody comes to your NGO and they genuinely want to do good. Understand the good that they want to do, what their story is, what their passion is, and see how you can tie it to the vision of your organization. Once they're able to see their vision, their personal vision inside your big vision, oh, you have them. You have them. I remember it happened with one of our executives. The day I actually sat down and shared the vision, undiluted, not what we have on paper, my personal story, the vision God gave me about why saved. The lady sent me a prayer and said, everything you said are things that I have desired. I know that I may not be able to run an NGO to do them, but this I will be here for life because I have seen it took me sharing. And the moment she saw that these are things I dream. If I remember when Slum to School built that their school, their eco school, she sent tagged me to the and said, this is our dream. Because yes, we have a dream. I don't even know, maybe it's more of her dream than mine, but we are going. She has seen it and she has been one of the most supportive, one of our most consistent sponsors, like because she understands and she has seen the vision. Then show empathy, respect their differences, and show genuine care. So that's that. The fifth principle is to cast a clear vision. I think I've talked about these things, so I will not, and we've done a lot on vision in the course of this series. People need to know why they are going and why it matters. People need to know where they are going and why it matters. A clear vision creates unity, motivation, and focus. People need to know where they are going and why it matters. I think this is clear. What are they trying to achieve? You need to tell them that. Break all of those your jargon, your OKR, objective and key results. Break it down. What are we trying to achieve here? Why are we? I always tell my team members then, especially I will tell the graphics designer, see how your graphics design ties to the bigger goal of revenue generation. If you do not give us a catchy design that has maybe when he's designing carousel, if the carousel is not engaging, the hooks are not engaging. When I'm talking to the media communications team, I tell them if these are not our clients will not stop. The flyer will not be scroll stopping. That's what they call it. It will not hook them. Our videos need to be different. We need to diversify with the videos. We need to be able to do different kind of videos that can attract different. Now, what are we trying to achieve? If those clients see those videos or that flyer and stops and clicks on click here to make a comment chat to know more, that is one step in. They've entered the pipeline. If we're not able to get them into the pipeline, we will not have clients to convert. So I always tell every team and video editor, I say the same thing. I say, guys, see. The person, tech and automation specialist, I tell her, if these processes are not in place, if all these automations are breaking, if there's a look at what happens. We lose if there's a gap or a breakdown in any of your automations. We will one of the times we had a conference in Canada, and I know how much we lost. I know how much we lost just because we had so always show them what you're trying to achieve and why their work is important. I also had a team member that came and told me, I don't understand how I'm adding value. I sat her down, the same tech order. I sat and I said, see, you need to understand that without you, this would not happen in this organization. So you may not be the marketing team speaking with the clients and converting them, but without you, there's a lot of interdependency across that. Customer success, this is it. This person, this is it. And everybody sees how their work ties to the big vision. And then the how to get there is where you now have the SOP, standard operating procedures. This is how you get there. right? So you must cast the vision. And another thing with vision card, don't cast it once and go and sleep. Every time you have a team meeting, at least your vision, your mission, your objectives, right, for the quarter or for the, you must always tell them this is what, let it stamp in their head. Let it, you cannot do vision casting just in January and run the whole of the year without recasting the vision. You always have to recast the vision until they catch the picture of the vision. Otherwise, they won't take ownership. Otherwise, they will just not hit, a target when they are working. The sixth principle is to empower rather than control. The old way, many leaders try to do everything themselves, creating bottlenecks and limiting growth. The effective way, effective leaders develop others. That's why I like project management. In project management is very people centered. Is less about processes and more about, especially not just project management, the agile project management, which is the new way. In project management, we have the traditional way of doing project management. Then you have the agile way of doing project management. Now, a lot of organizations do the agile. So now you see agile project managers, scrum masters, all of those things. It's very people centered. It's very team driven. Decisions are made by the team. You're just there to guide, you're just there to facilitate, you're just there to coordinate, but you let people take ownership. So when you're coming up with solutions, you're coming up with solutions with the team. When you're making decisions, you get the buy. It's very people team driven. Everything, everybody feels like they have a stake. That's how people take charge. And that's how you reproduce leaders. Otherwise, you will burn out. You will continue to micromanage. If you don't let people take initiative, many times one of the challenges we have is that you don't think they will do it as good as you. It's okay. Let them do it and fail. Teach them. Let them, as long as it will not scatter a lot of things. By all means, the way people learn is when they do it and fail. After all, before you rose to that level of expertise or leadership, somebody took a chance with you. Somebody allowed you, and did you get it right the first time? Even if you got it right the first time, did you hit 100% mark? Did you not make mistakes? So if somebody didn't give you that opportunity to fail, you won't even have failed forward, right? So you must learn to delegate responsibilities. That's how you develop other leaders. After a while, you see that people are now strong enough. You can now hand over a sub team to them. They can become like that's even how I've, I mean, every leadership, I found myself going through the ranks. So give people ownership, trust them to contribute, allow room for learning and growth. Leadership is not about being indispensable, it's about making others capable. Do you understand this? A lot of people think that leadership is, they can't do without me. I left my last organization and I left it so sad. In fact, as at this morning, one of the facilitators reached out to me and sent me all of the complaints that students had sent. She didn't know I'd left the organization because as program manager, operations naturally showed. She said, I told her I'm no longer there, but I've been a bit sad, apart from the fact that those things could have been avoided, all of those things. But, every leader wants to raise a team so that when you are not there, things are working. So make that your goal. When you're not there, but it wasn't me that caused it. It's not that I didn't raise anybody. It's just that a lot of things happened in the organization and everybody left, and all of that, including myself. And I tried to salvage it as much as I could, try to reason, to avoid these kind of things that I saw this morning. But, it's not my company and there's so much I could do. All right, but make sure that you as a leader are raising a team that can function in your absence, please. That's when you know that you have become a leader. When people can run, they say, mamas, calm down, we got this. Mama, calm, you have reproduced yourself or you have raised people who are taking responsibility. Principle 7 is serving others. Leadership is a responsibility, not a privilege. Leadership is service. The best leaders focus on serving rather than being served. So questions to ask yourself: how can I help my team succeed? What obstacles can I remove? What support did they need? So in a typical Scrum meeting in project management, when we have the morning stand-ups is what did you do today? What did you do yesterday? Are you planning to do today? And what are the obstacles, the blockers? That's what we typically call it. What are the blockers that you might experience. So me as a project manager, my interest is, mostly the blockers, because as a project manager, it's my responsibility to help remove those blockers as much as possible as a team lead, so that my team can work efficiently. So sometimes things like, oh, we've been waiting for CEO to respond to us on the brief that we sent to her. So as the project manager, as the operations lead, I will now reach out to this, because she would obviously listen to me faster. I'll tell her, this is how your delayed response is. You have a timeline you have given, blah, 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 and the blockers are removed. What are the blockers? We need PAN code for data. Okay, we need PAN code. The ones that are on my table, okay, clear it out. So you must always, this is how you serve. It's not, leadership is not authority, it's not position, it's not I have arrived. It is it's now time to serve. Jesus told the disciples, who that must be the greatest must be the least amongst you. Must be the least amongst you. The principle of feet washing. The feet is the dirtiest part of the body, but Jesus humbled himself and washed the feet of people. So leadership is feet washing as well. You must help people get clean. You must help people deliver. You must help people succeed. Principles 8 and 9 are recognition and accountability. You have to learn to give recognition. Some of you saw my post on when I celebrated ID, our outgoing executive assistant. One of the things, it's a lot of, number one, she didn't expect it. She didn't see it coming. She was so emotional. We talked at the back scene. She was so emotional. I said, I don't know how to not do those kind of things, because how does somebody serve me for 4 years? And I did not do it for showmanship or anything. I know when you celebrate people publicly, she's not even like active a lot, so active on LinkedIn. But I also made sure I was intentional when I also talked about some of her skill sets. Peradventure an employer is looking for, or just so how she's working, so she's not like she's job hunting or anything, but it was intentional for me. When you are preaching, and what she said to me was, even though yes, I said, I'm still very much here. I'm waiting for the next conference. She's serving as a field marshal now. So when we need her available. But do you think that if she said 4 years and went, and I did not as much, when I did not pay 1 naira salary, there are times too I would occasionally, there are other perks I would do, obviously, to show appreciation in between, during birthdays and stuff like that, personal stuff. But you have to always recognize people for their effort. Give people their flowers while they can still smell them. Very important. Celebrate their progress. Let them know that their efforts are being, even if you're paying them salary. That's the problem that most employers have. They think because they're paying you salary, the salary means is enough appreciation. That's nonsense. You're paying me for my service. I don't feel appreciated that you paid me salary. You need me. I always tell my team members, as an employee, you're an entrepreneur, and the only reason you're valuable to this organization is because there is a service, there is a value. You have a service that we need, and you're offering right now. So I'll talk to them anytime I want to talk to them about personal branding. Think of yourself as a brand. So you know that whatever service you're giving us now, if you serve us well, we can always recommend. That's what happens when people leave jobs and then recommendations, your employer cannot recommend you. So you have to find ways to celebrate them. It doesn't always have to be gifts. If sometimes you will not have money, but appreciate them. A simple call, a simple, how are you doing? Is everything good? How can I support you? I'm praying for you. Those things. And hell has a way of just gingering people. Acknowledge their contributions. When they are going through their low moments, please don't criticize them. Find out what's going on. Care for them. Some of the time, their performance is not because of the job, it's because of what is happening at home. They never see food, job. And where you can, send them money, even if it's not salary. Send them money. So you go and buy shawarma and eat. And you see how the person will come back fired up and ask you, sir, what's the next design that we need to do now? Most of my team members from my other team, now they are helping me do YSIP's work for free. In fact, the website, we're revamping our website. I had to call my one of the full stack engineers. I said, guy, please, say no wildlife, you need me. And they're not charging me a dime, because when I led that team, everybody felt. That's why when I tendered my resignation, I say it with every sense of humility. Everybody just felt, if you're going, then what are we doing here? Because when you're like the person holding people together, the things, blocking things, just encouraging them in the Lord, even though management is all of those kind of things. Those are the things that make people stay with you. Then correct privately and praise publicly when appropriate. If you only correct publicly, if it was a public offense that would, if you don't correct it openly, if it was done publicly, correct it publicly. If it was done privately, please correct it privately. All right, as much as possible. If it was a public offense, correct it publicly so that every other person involved will take dressing. Encouragement often unlocks potential that criticism cannot. I don't think that I'm a perfect leader. I'm also striving, but there are some things that I have that stood about leadership. I try. I may not do it all the time, but when I'm conscious, I try to do those things so that people can stay with you. People can stay with you. People can want to work with you. Then hold people accountable. This is another part too. Good leadership balances compassion with standards. This is now the good balance. Set clear expectations, address issues promptly, and provide constructive feedback. Hold everyone, including yourself, accountable. People respect leaders who are fair and consistent. So this is the balance. As you're giving recognition, also hold people accountable. Don't water down the standard and say, oh, I want them to feel heard. I want them, no. I want them to feel, no, that's not that. You have to set clear expectations. You have to address all the issues that are happening promptly. You have to provide feedback where it's necessary. You have to this is called being assertive. Most HRs, this is one of the skills that they look for before you can even get there. You have to be an assertive person. You have to know how to balance humanity and standard. Do you understand? They're not watering down the standard, but you're still applying humanity in the work that you're doing. And the last but not the least, which is the 10th principle, is to develop future leaders. So this is the principle of reproduction driven by influence and all. The ultimate test of leadership is whether others grow under your influence. A leader impacts multi a leader's impact multiplies when they raise other leaders. Don't just be a king, become a kingmaker. So, for how do you do this? You mentor people, you share opportunities with them, teach them what you know. Don't be the kind of leader that gatekeeps. No, that's not how I was taught to lead. They will carry all of us to that same. There are some leaders, they will go for the training so that they can go and get the knowledge. That God complex thing that happens to people, get the knowledge and come on. It's not bad when you cannot afford to carry everybody, but it's even better you carry them. Let them be hearing it exactly as you're hearing. Because when you come back, you might even water it down. Do you understand? Let them also see that it's not you that is saying it, that this is an ideology that is like it's not you're not the one inventing these things. If they hear it from another person that is not you, they might be more open to receiving it, right? So you want to give them, make access available opportunities to them, expose them to opportunities that will help them grow. Don't keep them low. The goal is to make them grow as you're growing. As they are growing, it also challenges you to keep growing. It also challenges. I saw a quote says, if nobody grows under you as a leader, then you're not a leader. Something like that. That's not how he put it, but if I see it, one of a very popular motivational speaker. If nobody grows under you as a leader, then you're not leading. The goal is to reproduce yourself. If you have not given birth, your leadership will die. That the legacy you're going to leave for yourself is that you're reproducing other leaders. Now, I feel like that's the one of the challenges of Nigerian politicians. Case in point is, okay, I don't know. Some of we are leadership, the highest level of leadership is not just being a king, but becoming a kingmaker. Think about it that way. Becoming a kingmaker, that's where you leave a legacy. As a king, you can only rule one kingdom. As a kingmaker, you have influence over multiple kingdoms because all the different kings that you have made, you have 1% stake. 1%. Do you understand? If all of them bring their 1% at your feet, that's one thing people need to understand about leadership. You should aim to have other leaders. It happens everywhere. You know, as a king, you have rule over one kingdom. As a kingmaker, you have stake over multiple kingdoms. Your influence is widened. Do you understand? The venison that comes will come from multiple kingdoms to you. Your legacy transcends beyond your one kingdom. So beyond leadership, thinking that you're a leader, always think of how to reproduce other leaders. With these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that leadership goes beyond self-leadership to leading others. There's so many things that have come about. I've come to the end of the class. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, I'll take them. Otherwise, I'll pass the mic to Corridable. I would really love to hear your questions if you have. And thank you so much for staying till this time. Thank you. Over to you, Corridable, please.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you, Ma. That was amazing. I mean, I learned a lot from that. If you have questions, please, before we start asking our questions, let's say a very big thank you to Mrs. Ivory. Put your emojis, your love emoji, everything, and say a big thank you to Mrs. Ivory. Thank you so much, Ma. That was awesome. Thank you, Ma. So while we are still saying thank you to her, let's drop our questions in the chat box. If you have questions, kindly put it up in the chat box so it can be addressed. Thank you, Ma. If you have questions, kindly put that up. Thank you, everyone, for waiting till this time. Thank you. If you have questions, kindly put it up. If you have question, you can unmute your mic, ask the question, or you put it in the chat box if you are in a place where you can talk. Okay. Rukaya says it was very interesting. Indeed, really, really interesting.
Okay, not go to pray again. I beg you. Anyway, I guess they had a good reason for staying back. Thank you for staying till the end. Okay, I don't know if there are any questions, guys, but if there are no questions, very quick announcements. I'll take it that you understood. And if you do have any questions, even after now, you can always reach out to me on WhatsApp. Okay, I have one. I'm trying to see how we can wrap up by 7:30. As someone who subconsciously wants to do things themselves, what's the thin line between salvaging a situation by doing it yourself? And Coride, please read the question for me.
It says, as someone who subconsciously wants to do things themselves, what's the thin line between salvaging a situation by doing it yourself and actually having a complex that desires to be at the center and in control?
Okay. So I think to answer this question, what's the difference between, what's the thin line between solving it by doing it yourself and actually having a complex that desires to be at the center and in control? I think that you have to, one of the things you need to do is to just have a sit down with yourself, right? To have a sit down with yourself, especially after the crisis is over, right? I know that there are times where you genuinely, and the truth is that when there is a major crisis, it's not a time to probably delegate. If it's something that you need to do yourself, maybe because you're the one that has the contact of one person or you have established contact with these people, they respond to you faster. But you need to ask yourself why. So it's the same question that you're asking is what you need to ask yourself about. Am I actually solving this problem myself because it was a crisis problem, or is there something that I was trying to protect? If it's your default operating system to solve problems when they arise, then you now know that that's a weakness that you need to work on. So it's about, the answer to this, your question is, sit down and tell yourself the truth. Why do I step in to solve problems all the time rather than delegating? Is it because these problems are actually quite critical and at the point where they came up, there was no other person that could have handled it? Or is it because I have this problem of control? If you genuinely answer and you see that it's because you have a problem of control, if it's because it was a critical situation, there's nothing you could have done about it. You made the best call and you did the right thing and it was absolutely right. But if it's because you have a control problem, then you now know that you're practicing unhealthy leadership, right? And you need to work on delegation. Work on delegation. So you now know that this is personal to you. So it really just starts with asking yourself genuinely, why am I doing this? Sometimes see, some leaders don't even have patience when you delegate. So I can be like that. Like I like when I give you tasks to do, do it fast. I'm sure Corey would have experienced it a few times. But I'm like that if I feel like something is at stake, right? If there's nothing at stake, I will let you. But if I have to remind you more than twice, I'll take it up. As a person of prince and my personal principle, if I have to remind you twice, maybe because my hands are too tied, I have to now do a third reminder. And that's the last time I'll remind you about that. And I'll genuinely move on without feeling bad though. I'll move on because the work has to be done, and then probably tell you need to work, like handle your matter later. Have a proper one-on-one conversation with you. So ask yourself that question: am I stepping in because this is really like a crisis situation and I'm the only person that can get it done fast, right? Or am I stepping in because I have a control problem? And if you identify that you have a control problem, just revisit this class that we have taught. That means your leadership style is unhealthy, right? You're not going to produce leaders. And those are the ideologies that I hope that this class has now, worked on. The need for you to raise leaders and why it's important for you to raise leaders within your team. Okay. So some of the ways you can know is, if you're always stepping in all the time, then if you're always stepping in all the time or you're always doing it, then that's an unhealthy leadership style, you know. But if you know that you step in occasionally, and you delegate more, then you know that. So those are just the parameters you should check yourself against. All right. Does it answer your question? And you know that style of leadership is not sustainable. One day you will not be available. And now the danger of that is that one day you will not be available. One day it will be a crisis situation. And if you haven't trained people to step in those moments, that means the thing will spoil because you are not available. So that's the danger of it. So you want to start early to delegate, start early to get people, start early to do it. Because you will not be available all the time. You fall sick, God forbid, or something happens and you're just indisposed. You see, you wouldn't have trained people who could have done that. You wouldn't have done. So I'm also learning that I'm not yet there. It's one of the things I'm especially with wise. I'm learning to ask people, take initiative, take initiative and do it. All right. Any other questions before we wrap up? It's 7:33 and we really now need to wrap up. We have a few announcements to make. All right, awesome. Thank you, Abigail. Okay, so if you have any other questions, you can send it. Because of time, we can't take any more questions. Already, I'll let you do the announcement about the things that we should expect this week, the assessment and all of the things and all the other instructions. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Please, Already, over to you and very quickly, let's get that out of the way.
Okay, thank you, Ma. Everyone will be having our assessments. I will be sending it to the group, which is going to be submitted before the end of the coming week. It's going to be 3 questions from each classes, which we are going to be answering. Also, we'll be having a recording, one-on-one recording with some set of people, and then we are going to let those who are going to be doing the videos at their own convenience. And then they'll send us the video, which we would be putting out on our social media platforms. So I'm just reach out to everyone individually and then let you know, schedule a time with you when we can have the recording. And then the assessment also will be sent by Monday, before the end of work on Monday. So yes, that's it. Thank you, ma'am. Ma, do you have any additional
Yes, so
information?
guys, no, I don't have. Just to mention, so is the video she's talking about is your testimonial video. Those of you that have been on this program from start to finish would like to get your testimonial, actual video testimonial from this program. So 2 options. We can either send you the question and you record and send us the video and we edit, or we jump on a Zoom call with you, record it right on the Zoom, and then, do the edits ourselves because we don't want to take chances and we absolutely need to get your testimonial. That's why we're going to be setting up the call with you guys. Now, this is the last class of the Leadership Foundations program, as you know. The Youth Libraries and Leadership program is an integration of different programs. We have finished the Leadership Foundations program. We are going to be moving, those of us that we're going to be moving to the livelihoods track, which is the employability and career advancement program and the entrepreneurship program. So when you filled your form, you told us which of the programs you're going to be joining. So, and that program is going to start in July so that you get some time to rest. And we can also do some ramp ups around this particular program, the assessment, the testimonial capture, and the final preparations for the livelihoods program starting on the 4th of July. So you get some good, like 2 weekends to actually rest before the next program starts. All right. So what you're going to be doing between now and then is to give us your feedback. Corridor is going to send the feedback form and then you do your rating and all of that on Monday. She's also going to be sending the message to everybody. So if you want your testimonial card, it is opened. We're not selecting anybody. So tell us, you reach out to you, schedule the dates and time with her so she can put it on your calendar and set that up. Then your assessment, like she said, it will be sent out on Monday. You have to complete your assessment and send it by the given deadline that will be stated in the communication to you. Now, that said, every other information will be passed to you on the group. Thank you very much. Follow us on social media if you're not following us. Talk about your experience from the classes, your learning points, tag the facilitators. Really just talk about it. Tell people that you're investing in yourself as a leader. You're the kind of person I would employ. And for the different programs, before the livelihoods program starts, we're going to also have an orientation session to let you know what to expect from the program and what some of the things that will be running. Example, for I'm going to leave that juice for when the time comes. So thank you all. It's been a great ride here with you this last 6 weeks, and I look forward to your testimonials and your feedback as well. And welcoming you to the Livelihoods program in July. Bye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Please leave the meeting. Thank you. Friday, please call Anna so she can leave the meeting so the meeting can end.
Okay, ma.